Right.
Let's see.
Are you on? No.
It's probably not clicked. Give me 2 seconds.
We'll get it all. Oh. Jessica knows how to do everything. There we go, a little mood lighting.
So, as she said, she's gonna try.
No, there we go.
Okay, as Nancy said, not everybody loves spiders. But as you can see here, there are some reasons definitely to begin with why you should like spiders, especially if you're a gardener. I mean, I feel kind of sad in this caterpillar, but that's spider. So I've liked spiders since I was a child. And then in the 90s, I just decided that I would start teaching myself about them. And that was before the internet. When I just got posted, sat down on the front porch and pretty soon I started getting programs. This is my favorite spider. I had to but I don't. So basically, spiders around the world, we have lots of spiders, more than 52,000 spiders and counting. Every time I update this, as you can see, it says 108 since the last time I updated this, which was probably in April. So here in Texas, we have more than 1,000 species. Oh, look, breaking news. This was in 2022, a new spider species in Texas in the Big Bend area. And I did a short article for Texas Parks and Wildlife. That was in October 28th. It's really interesting. I read through it because these spiders live among ants, and that's why they have that genus name. Anyway, you need to look it up. And try to turn it. Okay. But then she mentioned I do iNaturalist, and actually it's 1,371 species. I remember it was a big deal when I hit 1,000, so I'm going to 1,450 now. So we have 90 species of spiders in our lab so far, and 64 birds. I looked that up specifically for y'all. So just the basic taxonomy, which I'm sure y'all are familiar with. Arachnids, they have 8 legs. And then the order of spiders, Arachidae, they have 8 legs, 2 body parts, and they produce silk. Just as an aside, I've got 2 grandkids now, and I want a really cool grandmother name. So this is my grandmother name, Rainy. It came from the order of the radiator. So just as an aside as well, you see these in the hill country area, like on the hill country, the harvestmen. So they are not spiders, but they're arachnids. They have 8 legs, but 1 body part. And that myth, okay, what did I do? There's the pointer, see? Okay. Right there, okay. So these are, I'm sorry, I'm just having a hard time. Harvestmen, that's what we call them. They're in the order of lungs. There is that urban myth about dead long legs being the most, they're going to kill you. Well, these guys don't even have them. They only eat dead stuff. But there is, I think, a spider in Australia with the same kind of name. And that's where it is a little confusing about common names and why scientists give every organism a specific name for the genus and the species. So we do have a cellar spider. So there is a spider commonly called dead longlegs. I was just going to say too that the photographs are mostly mine, but if they're not, I give the photographer credit. So just so you know that. Oh, and I'm not into a door prize. Okay, it's a small door prize that y'all have to listen because later on, whatever I'm talking about is kind of handy for towards the end. Okay, here's another arachnid, scorpion. And my husband hates them. I try to save them in the bathtub whenever I can. They're great moms. Okay, that's what I always do. Spider anatomy, just your basic, they have 48 knees, I think, 8 legs. Of course, the fangs are up here, the chelicerae, these are the pedipalps. And that burning question, here we are, guide or gap. So what we're going to look at, the pedipalps with these extra appendages, this is my little friend here, that they use, spiders use to handle their prey, to feel, so they, wave around. So we're going to look at the tips of the pedipalps, here are the pedipalps. If they're clubbed, those are males. And if they're not, they're females. And the reason why is just the mating process. His pedipalps are inserted into color. That's how the sperm is transferred. So, if you were my kids, I would ask right here, is this a male or a female? Male. The male. That's just hard. Female.
Yeah, I'll mute her.
Female. You see the clubs here?
Excuse me, Cheryl, I'm sorry, we're having a technical problem. They can't hear you on Zoom because
It's feeding back through the
feeding
system.
that. So, you're gonna have to just talk loud and take, there's a microphone.
I'm gonna mute those.
Okay. Yeah, because there's a microphone in the ceiling, and if you just talk as loud as you can, it'll pick you up and they can hear you. Because they're all just going, we want to hear this. Okay, so
Somebody said something.
well, that's why we're here, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
All right.
Can you hear me? It'd actually be so much easier too. Y'all can hear me okay if I talk?
Okay, talk loud.
We got all these seats up front. I can't hear.
Okay, so let me just back up because this is real important for people on Zoom. Guy or gal, so we're looking at the pedipalps, tips of the pedipalps, and if they're clubbed, then that's a male because that's used in the mating process. If they're not clubbed, then that's a female. As you can see here, this is a female. So just real quickly, we look at some of these, the male, female. Okay, that's really important. So spider silk, when I always thought it was just, they make silk, so what? Well, there's different kinds of silk, and it's made out of protein. It's a liquid protein. So when it hits the air, then it solidifies, and it's very elastic. And they also eat, when the orb weavers, I'm getting ahead of myself, but they recycle silk. They eat that and to create more protein. Kinds, as I mentioned, drag lines, to wrap prey, nests for molting, egg sacs, ballooning. That's when they're carried away, the little spiderlings on air. I'll talk a little bit more about that.
There it is. Okay, I have to give me 2 seconds. I need to fix this out. Because it's for the bloodline.
This is about how one spider uses silk in a very different way.
Another champion in the realm of chemical deception is the bolus spider. She takes a proactive approach to catching prey, dangling a silken thread from her outstretched leg, like a medieval flail or a bolus. The head of her weapon, in lieu of a lead ball, is a blob of sticky thread. To lure a male moth into range, the bolus spider cleverly mimics the smell or pheromones of a female moth. Swooning into range, the male is struck with the bolus. The spider reels in its prey and delivers a deadly bite.
I just had to check. We don't have one here in Central Texas, but we do have a species of Ebola in East Texas. So this is our only one. So what these spiders eat, all kinds of insects, flying insects, anything that's smaller, sometimes a little bigger, sometimes each other. I mean, I took this picture, and I think it's the jumping spider eating the crab spider, but it's really hard to tell.
Somebody's eating somebody.
And this is a real picture. Occasionally, that's a hummingbird. I'm sorry, guys. This was taken by a friend in Blanco, and I did experience this or witness it one time myself. It was in the days of film, and I took a picture, and that hummingbird got away, and this one didn't. That's how strong spider silk is, to hold that weight. This poor little bird didn't get away. So, also, what eats the spiders? My husband and I were sitting in the meadow, and I looked down, and that's the thing about when you start observing and learning about nature, then you build this foundation. And when I looked down and I saw this wasp, and it was dragging a poor little wolf spider, I knew what was going on. She had stung the spider, paralyzed it, and was dragging it to her burrow, which was from here to over there. And if you could imagine, could you do that? Drag something backwards without ever looking to see where you were going? I mean, that's what that spider did. And she dragged that poor little wolf spider into her burrow. Here's her burrow. And then she'll lay an egg on it, and then the larva will have fresh spider. It's paralyzed to eat. And that's just part of nature. Another video, please.
The desert sands of Namibia are home to a remarkable miniature acrobat. The golden wheel spider turns on a performance that rivals the tumbling floor routine of any gymnast. It's an escape plan designed to foil its main predator, a parasitic wasp. Even within its carefully excavated burrow, this spider is not safe from its persistent hunter. As its sandy fortress is penetrated, it cartwheels away at a rate of 44 revolutions per second, the equivalent of a car traveling at 300 kilometers per hour.
Miles per hour. I did the math on it. So I had to look and see, of course, because that's a Hudson spider. So here in Texas, we do have them, but they were introduced. So far, we don't have them in the hill country. So far, so they look pretty scary, but I don't think they're pretty harmless. So the typical life cycle of a spider runs 1 year. It starts out with the egg. She's getting ready to make an egg sac, and then here's her egg sac. The green leaves, we talk about those, the garden spider. Some spiders will overwinter in the egg sac, and others will come first and then overwinter as little spiderlings. So after they hatch, then they balloon away, and that's where they get up on their tippy toes on a high place. They shoot up. It's a triangle. I thought it was just one strand, but it's actually a triangle of silk, and that catches the breeze but they're also using the Earth's magnetic fields too to get that lift. And then that's how they disperse and how they reach new places. I think I read that they can be like up to 2.5 miles up in the air and 1,000 miles out at sea, and that's how they get to the place. So I'm sure you heard. I had to put this slide in. Okay, not yet. So to grow, spiders shed their exoskeleton, like snakes do. And the last time that a female spider molts her exoskeleton is she's ready to mate. And I'm borrowing these photos. You can see there's a bug guy. One of the first times I gave this presentation, one of the students at a Master Naturalist conference, somebody said, look, I hadn't even noticed. Here's a male right behind her, waiting for her because she has just molted. So she's ready to mate. So this is the slide that I just put in. But this was big news, remember? Just a few weeks ago? Y'all remember that?
Yes.
So this is what we're talking about. A spider, when they say flying spiders, they're talking about ballooning. That's what the little ones do. And all spiders have venom, except for like one family. And the only venom, I mean, we'll talk about that too. There's 2 spiders in Texas. I know y'all know which ones they are, where the venom is dangerous to humans. But so this is a venomous spider, but it's harmless to us. And it's related. In fact, there's only 2 spiders in this genus here. And this is the golden silk spider. This is the other one. So these 2 are cousins. And these are out in East Texas. We don't have them here in Central Texas. Beautiful spiders. That one is too. But just so you know, there's nothing to be afraid of, like the media shows. Okay, so 2 primitive spiders. We're going to talk first. So these are the larger bodied spiders, tarantulas, purse webs. Their fangs point downwards because they're on the ground hunting. They're going to hold their prey down. They're longer, typically longer lived. So I guess most of y'all see the Texas brown, just our typical tarantula. So this is really cool. I realized that in our yard there in Blanco on 9th Street, we have 4 species that I have found. The cork-lid trapdoor, Numidia, don't even ask me to say the scientific names. Species, and then James, you found the first one, right? The trapdoor, you were mowing. So come on. Okay. We found, this is the trap door. You see how well it blends in? And then you open it and it's lined in silk. And usually the females, they live in the burrow. They're about 5 inches deep. But they blend in so well that you just don't even see them. You come out mostly at night. You can tell this is a female, nice and chubby, and this is a male that's in not very good shape. That's another species. And then earlier this year, I was out removing some unwanted plants. Most people call them weeds from our gardens. And I came across this little spider's Comstock's trapdoor. She was so cute. She was about that big. But then it made me realize that these other spiders that I earlier were probably the same species. I found these, they had just emerged from an egg sac somewhere, little bitty spiderlings. But beautiful spiders. So then I put her back. She was under the leaf debris, so I put her back. Then this guy. So those are the 4 in our yard, which is really cool. This is the Texas brown out in Big Bend, crossing the highway. That's just me and one on our property. Some tarantulas from around the world. Really beautiful, beautiful spiders. I raised some pink toads back in the 90s. Any of y'all remember chat rooms when the internet was just getting going? And I was in a spider chat room, and somebody had some spider legs for educators, and I raised my hand. And they got 4 little ones in pill jars. We raised them. I think I lost a couple on the way. This is he's lying in state now. He's in. I decided not to bring him anymore. I'll just take a picture of him. So it's called true spiders. All the other spiders and their fangs work in opposition. So this is really the more fun of the presentation for me, starting with jumping spiders. Oh yes, I love jumping spiders. This is Gladys. She was at our dining room table one year and listened to everything that James and I were talking about. They have the best eyesight of all spiders, and they stalk prey like a cat. And of course, when you think about it, they're not on an orb whisk. They have to have good eyesight to hunt. I like to say they have eyes like moms in the back of their head. So you have two primary eyes here, and then, the littler ones, and then, 4 more on the sides. And so they can catch movement, anything over here. Like I saw a spider on the front porch one time, a car drove by, and that movement caught the spider's attention, and she instantly swiveled her eyes and focused because she wants to know, something to eat? Is it something that's going to get me? Is it something that's just interesting to look at? And then they also leave a drag line. If you've noticed, if you've ever been around jumping spiders, they leave like a little bungee cord as they're, going from place to place, because you never know, they might miss. They need to have a way to get back up. Jumping spiders also have scopula on the tips of their feet, which kind of use water, like water adhesive. If you have a piece of paper and you wet it and you stick it on the wall, it might stick for them. So that's how the spiders are able to walk up walls. They have these little, like broom, think about a broomstick, broom straws. Oh, this is interesting. This little guy, he's going to balloon away. He's pretty heavy. That's the bold jumping spider. He's my favorite. The green, looks like green, but that's part of their jaws, the chelicera here. Sometimes they're metallic green, sometimes they're metallic blue, really pretty. There are some of the jumping spiders that in our yard that I've come across. Really, this is that's a male, really beautiful. Oh, I was so excited when I met my first cardinal jumping spider. Really handsome. There's some more spiders from around the world. Jumping spiders. Okay, wolf spiders. Those are cool spiders too. They hunt mostly at night, and they have pretty good eyesight. Have y'all done the thing with the flashlight at night with kids or grandkids, where you hold it up, the flashlight not parallel with your eyes? It's dark, so you shine it out in the grass, and when you see a pair of diamonds, then you keep the light focused on those diamonds, and you walk out there and you're going to find a wolf spider. Cool. And so what's happening is the light is shining off the back of their eyes, tapetum, and then that enables them to see better at night. But that's a really fun activity to do with kids. I like to just do it too. It's fun. Because sometimes you'll find a wolf spider this big, or you might find a wolf spider this big. There's a lot of different species of wolf spiders. They're great moms. They carry their egg sac in their spinnerets. And I actually was able to get pictures of that. I was really happy about that. You can't tell real well, but after the little ones break out of the egg sac, they climb on their mother's back, on their abdomen. You can't really see it probably real well. This picture you can. And this is a video. It's not going to work here, but I got a video of the spiderlings on her back, and she's got little knobs on her abdomen. The hairs have little knobs, and that's how the little ones hang on, and then I guess onto each other, and until after their first molt, and then they'll fall off and get eaten. Only a few will survive, but that's why they lay so many eggs, to ensure that the species continues. So here is a fishing spider, which kind of looks a little bit like a wolf spider, somewhat. I got a picture of this in Kendall County. They like to be near water. So here's one with a crawdad that I borrowed this picture. So yeah, can you imagine a spider eating crawdad? And so these mothers, these spider moms carry their egg sac in their jaws, not in the spinnerets like the wolf spiders. So a few years ago, we had a fishing spider in our yard. The only time I've seen one. And it's so funny because I said, I see you. And then the spider moved and I was like, no, I still see you there. I used him as a character in this book that I've written, a spider. Link spiders. Nice lady back here was talking about link spiders that she's taken pictures of at Mitchell Lake. Those are pretty cool spiders too. They're just beautiful, lime green. They hunt like cats too. These moms, they lay their egg sac towards the end of summer and stay with the egg sac until the little ones come out. Here you can see the little ones have emerged. She's eating a bee, and then she'll die, and then they survive. Whoever survives the winter, into the next year. So we only have about 3 species of link spider in our yard. And they have these little hairs too on their legs. That's kind of a diagnostic, kind of tells you that's a link spider. And they kind of like to hop too. They're mostly hunting on foliage, maybe in the grass. I've seen them. The crab spiders, they like to wait till something comes by. Some of these can change colors. The reason why they're called crab spiders, of course, is because they can move sideways like crabs. Yeah. And when I give this presentation to kids, I say, okay, now I'm going to do my crab spider imitation. Because what some of these species do is they just stand on a flower like this, then they wait for something to come and they grab it and then they bite it and inject their venom. And then that's what, and then the enzymes from the venom start working on the sides of the insect, and then they're able to, ingest the fluids from the insect. That's how generally most spiders. Just some different ones from our yard. There's a little bitty one. They start out at a very young age, of course, waiting for something to come by. Here's some species, the 6. I don't think this is an example of all the different sticks, but that's so far that's what I found. And here's a crab spider mom. She's with her egg sac too. I found a crab spider in my pocket one time. On the velvet leaf mallow. I laughed because when I saw this, another one of those, like, you don't see me. I said, yes, I do. I put on that flower there. And here's the thing about iNaturalist. I've noticed that they've started naming things. Some of the species that don't have names, common names, and they put a name on this genus, the octopus spiders. But the first time I saw this, I could not figure out what it was. I took pictures, and finally I realized it's a crab spider, and that's the way they like to position themselves on foliage. Confusing. So orb weavers, they have very poor eyesight. This is the yellow garden spider, and she's an orb weaver. Have y'all seen the spiny-backed orb weaver before? They kind of look like crabs. We don't have them. I have not seen one in our yard. Yeah. But they're really cool because sometimes they're yellow, sometimes they're orange, red. I've seen white ones. But they're making their orb web, and so they don't need the good eyesight because they're relying on their sense of feel, the vibrations on the web. The yellow garden spider, that's the most impressive, I think, of all our orb weavers in Texas, and it has a lot of common names. Zipper spider, banana spider, riding spider, the yellow and black, yellow garden spider, black and yellow garden spider. And so a few years ago, I guess it's 3 years ago now, It's usually, I don't see the males. The males don't show up. But that year, we had quite a few males, and so I was able to really get some good pictures. And you can see how small they are compared to the female. And then this is one of those shots. I was there at the right time, right place. So she's just molted. They've mated. And she was, yeah, a picture, the story in one picture there. Poor guy.
Not happy.
So, and sometimes this species can lay not just one egg sac, they're beautiful egg sacs. They're like lineny, brown, papery looking. But we had one year. Let's see, this is 1, 2. One year we had a spider that laid 4 egg sacs, if I recall. Yeah. And they stay in the egg sac all winter. She dies off. One year we had a spider mom that lived until January, I think, which is really unusual. But she'll typically die before it's real cold. Oh, and the other thing about egg sacs, they do it at night. They lay and if you Google it and you can find some videos, the process that this species goes through in making her egg sac is really pretty cool because they disappear and do it all at night. But here's a little young one. So when they're little, they just kind of throw, stuff up on their web, and then they eventually learn how to make that nice zigzag. They call that the stabilimentum, and the scientists think that if spiders make those either to reflect ultraviolet light, which would attract bugs and or ward off birds. So maybe that allows the birds to see the web better. That was a little bitty spider. Sometimes, too, you might see these little cobweb spiders in her web. Because when you see these spiders, of course, they'll always be female. Because the big ones will always be the girls. But this is a kleptoparasitic spider. And they like to hang out. They actually live on the web. And when she catches something and wraps it up and starts feeding on it, they just come along and climb on and eat all they want. And she doesn't know because she doesn't care. But it's kind of interesting. I was able to get a picture of that too. But these little guys are they're really pretty because they've got a metallic abdomen. But they're cobweb. They're related to your cobweb spiders house. So here's a species around our yard, which is really pretty. Have y'all seen the giant lichen orb weaver at night? They're really big and they have really big webs, yeah. And then this is just a little tiny spider that was in the rosemary orb weaver. Here's one of the families, the family that has no venom, but it's an orb weaver in its own family. And that really interesting spider, they stay under their web. They're not on top of it. So yeah. And this little guy, it's a pretty small spider, really tiny, and this is all trash on their round web. That's why it's called a trash line orb weaver. You take the debris from whenever they eat an insect or something, the little carcass that's left, then they just weave it all into the web. I don't know why. Something different, I guess. So Charlotte's Web, I just thought it was interesting that Mr. Watt, he studied spiders for a year before he ever started writing Charlotte. He got together, I think, with Mr. Gertz and Mr. Comstock, who were the experts at the time on spiders. And then the barn spider is actually a species that lived out on his farm. So this is an actual, this is the species that Charlotte is based on. So my book is Charnel, and she's that I've written for middle grade. Charnel is the 50th descendant from Charlotte. So 50 years, a generation is 1 year. So 50 years later, then my spider comes along, Charnel. So hopefully we'll get it published. Oh, and this is my one and only cover for Parks and Wildlife, and I thought it was pretty cool because I was working on my book about Charnel, and it says "in my backyard." It wasn't that into the photoshopped it into the photograph. And I thought, that's a good sign. That's a good omen. So that's my cover photo. Funnel weavers, if y'all been out hiking when you're birding and you've seen this webbing on the ground, those are funnel weavers. And if you find the funnel, and if the spider's not on the web here, likely she's felt you or sensed you and run into the funnel because they're very skittish. And so if you can look down in the funnel, that's where she'll be. One time we had one in our window inside. I don't know how she got there, but this was one maybe taken at my mother's property outside of Bernie. Really neat spiders. The ground spiders, so you can tell them with their spinnerets. They can run pretty fast. Oh, so here's one of my spider stories. I was in the backyard and I was taking pictures, for iNaturalist. This is, me with my phone. So I had this little sack spider in my hand, and then all of a sudden, a spider wasp flies in, lands on my spider, attacks my spider, all in my hand, and I'm watching, and I can't believe it. And then I did this video, there's a video, a little short video here. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's all my fault.
It's all my fault.
My fault, that's what I'm saying. There it is. I couldn't believe it. I mean, that's amazing. So this is all I had left in my stomach. That guy made this. Never know what's going to happen, in nature. That was crazy. So here's our cobweb spiders, and not too much to say about them. They make messy webs, and I usually let them stay until after a while, get them out from under the cabinets. But they do, they eat other insects in your house, so they're helpful that way. So, okay, so the two spiders, of course, y'all know about are the brown recluse and the black widow. And the brown recluse, the venom of that species attacks the skin tissues. I don't know if you've known someone that was bitten by a brown recluse. They're very hard, I think, sometimes to diagnose the wounds. But if you think you've been bitten, if you get the spider, just to make sure, so you know that to get the right kind of treatment. The black widow, that attacks the nervous system. Anytime you're bitten by any kind of insect, it's always, or spider, it's always going to depend on your individual reaction to the venom. And also how much venom was injected. Spiders kind of varies. So it's just very, I was really excited. I had my first spider bite last year in the bathtub. And you can see the two fang marks just barely. But if you're bitten by a spider, of course, they have two fangs, and that's what they use to inject the venom. So I had a little bit of a reaction. I think it itched for a little bit, but I got the picture. So spinning spiders, I've seen one of these in Blanco years ago, but I think they get confused. They kind of look alike, like brown recluses sometimes. But they're very, very harmless. Okay, these are just for fun. Do pretty good on time. So, what to use does these look like? Of course, they look like ants, right? Well, that's a bow-legged buck nymph. And this one, I put this on my blog. When I first started my blog in 2008, I found these. And I thought that was an ant. And then I learned later on that it was bug nymphs. And I just saw these yesterday in our Texas Lantana. Well, this is a spider. This is an endemic jumping spider. And I swear they look like ants. They really do. And they've got the way their body is. Doesn't that look like three parts? Three body parts. They wave their front legs like antenna. but these are jumping spiders. And I've seen them in our yard, and it's so cool because I'll look at one and I think, oh, wait a minute, you're a spider, you know what I mean? So it's really fun. So I wanted to show y'all the wraparound for Australia. I mean, isn't that amazing? Yeah. So I got to see the giant web. That was getting to be many years ago now, back in '07. Y'all heard about that? It made world news up just east of Dallas and Lake Tawakoni. And all these trees were just shrouded with webbing. And at the time, I was like, oh, I want to go up there. And I contacted the editor of Parks and Wildlife, and he said, go. And I got to go up there and take pictures and experience it and write an article. And here's Mike Quinn. He was our state entomologist. Now he's, I think he's just independent. He's active on iNaturalist and into beetles. And Joe Lapp. And what had happened was that they'd had so much rain that they had a proliferation of mosquitoes and midges, so that there was plenty of food for all the spiders to eat. And all they had to do was just throw up women. They didn't eat each other. So the little ones, you know, when they came along, they just were eating all this food. So, and it smelled. I mean, it was just kind of musty. The wedding was starting to deteriorate. It was cool. Okay, door prize time. Here's an article, a picture that was in National Geographic in 2001. And the caption reads, "Deadly drama unfolds as a spider stalks a young red-eyed tree frog newly emerged from a pond." Do y'all see anything wrong with that? Or does that, I mean, I saw that and it's like, Did y'all see what I see? And whoever, this is door prize time. So why would I have written a letter to the editor? Okay, that's the first clue. What is your name? Ann. Ann. Okay, Ann pointed out one of the important clues. Did y'all hear what she said?
No.
She pointed down.
It's going that way.
That's the wrong, it's going away from the
Going away from the front.
First clue.
I only see 7 legs.
Well, that's true, but that doesn't have anything to do with why I wrote the letter. That's one of the clues.
Is it an exoskeleton?
Huh?
Is it an exoskeleton, or is it just
No.
it's a real spider?
It's a spider. So she's moving, as Ann said, she's moving away.
She has something underneath
Oh,
She's got her egg sac. Does she have an egg case?
yes, that's it.
Ah.
That's it. So here's my spiders in their key. Give these used so I can give them away.
Oh, it's a spider.
That's exactly right. I mean, I'm sorry, Ann, I don't have like a
No, that's all right.
but that's exactly right, because the spider is moving away, and this is a fishing spider, so she's carrying the egg sac in her jaws, right? A toe jaw, remember? So there's no way she could be stalking a frog. So I wrote a letter, and I contacted Rainer Foley. She wrote the textbook. I think he's still alive. You know? 2000. He agreed with me, and then that guy that wrote me back, he just sent in. I didn't even print my letter. I'm so mad. I'm still mad. Right? I'll never forget it. But so good job, y'all. So here's this too. So here's some good spider resources. And then y'all about ready for the grand finale? Let's take a picture. This is the one that I sat on the front porch and read. The spiders and scorpions yoga. That's what I started out with. Here's,
Hi. In this forest near Sydney, in southeastern Australia, lives one of the most remarkable spiders on the planet. It's called peacock spider. It's not a big furry tarantula, it's a tiny little jumping spider. There's one on my hand. This is the male. He's only 4 millimeters long, but extremely beautifully colored. And during the mating season, between September and November, he performs an extraordinary courtship dance to impress the female. Here it comes. Here's a male. He's looking around. He's trying to find a female. He advertises his presence. This female is watching carefully. And this one as well. Another female arrives on the scene. The males are getting excited. And the females too. At this stage, the male often vibrates his abdomen. Carefully and courageously he makes his move. To get the female's attention, he often waves his legs. But wait, there's more. The male expands a pair of colorful flaps and raises 2 legs. Then he dances in front of the female, quickly shaking his legs. Sometimes he stops, just vibrating his abdomen. Bad luck. This female is not interested in mating. Perhaps she's already mated. The males pack up. And they better get away quickly.
Oh,
Watch your back, mate. Too late. Will this male fare any better? He's trying hard. The male is following the female underneath the branch. And now both get what they want.
Wow.
Man, he's on Facebook. He's all these different people in Australia.
Oh, that is great. Wow.
For the kids, I decided I better not have that. What's his name, Jurgen? He has one with Staying Alive, you know, the Bee Gees. Loved it. Thank you all. I apologize because I was kind of not with it in the very.
Oh, no, it's wonderful.
You got me.
Thank you.
Question.
Well, we have some questions in the chat. Look, there's 26 comments. Are you going to look at those? Can you look at those from here? Or should I do
Pull them up. You want to read them? I can't read them from this one.
it? Well, I can, if you can pull them up, let's see. I was going to see if there's any question. Okay, we're working out the audio here. Okay. I've been bitten by a black widow. Ooh,
Whoa.
with us. Okay. I was going to see if there's any question. And they got the answers too.
You got the answer.
Got the answers. Okay.
There's
right,
one at
yep.
the bottom.
Okay. Let me just answer that question. How do we access the recording?
Oh, I couldn't see that.
It'll be posted in a day or so on the Vimeo channel. And if you go on the Fair Audubon website and go to the meetings, there's a list of all the programs that we've been able to record. And there's a link to the Vimeo. And it'll be the first one in the line because it's the latest. So give me a day or so to get that edited and on the Vimeo channel. Then you can watch it again. And the sound should be okay on that recording, I hope.
Yeah, because we restarted it. So you're
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
It'll be kind of choppy at the beginning, but
Okay. Well, okay, now we open up the questions here in the room. So if anybody's got a burning question about spiders.
I wanted to ask about their ability to see colors. It was striking. You pointed out all those beautiful spiders. I assume they're able to see color.
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
So the peacock thing.
Yeah, that's true. Thinking about that. And ultraviolet light. I think so. Some form of. I'm not an expert on that. Yes,
How do you photograph your spiders?
I've gotten real lazy. I've been using my iPhone, but I do have a digital DSLR.
So I use an iPhone. It just seem to have depth of field problems, does it not? Compared to a DSLR.
Yeah, and I do have a little macro for my iPhone here that comes in handy to shoot closer ups of insects. And I have not been using my regular camera as much. It's just so much easier. I go out in the yard. I have a little pouch. It's almost like carrying a pistol, right here. If I see something, I pull it out and take a picture. While I'm out in the yard working and just checking things out. So, maybe
one that you said that like hangs the trees, giant something or other. What is that one called?
giant lichen, LICHEN. Those can get really big and their webs. It'd be interesting. I've done this a few times at night. I'm so bad about just going in my pajamas and sit in bed and read, but going out after dark just shining a light even up into trees. But out in our gardens in the backyard, we had orb weavers that are probably about this height. And I just get outside more after dark. Oh, and black lights are really cool too to use.
I was out at Harvard Park yesterday, for the native plant talk, and so I walked it, and I was just looked up, and I was like, oh, my goodness, I was gonna ask you what they were, but
But that's what it was.
they were literally, their web was across the entire tree trail, like the trail that you're walking, and I was like, oh my goodness.
And then sometimes they leave a line. Like I was outside yesterday in the backyard, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Because some orb weaver had left it just a line, to use that night to start the orb weaving. So, yes, ma'am?
Do all spiders molt as they grow? Like with cicadas. I've just been through the cicada thing. Just the skeletons of the nymphs. I've never noticed a spider exoskeleton.
You will now.
Yeah. Do they eat them? No. The exoskeleton, they're around, huh? Okay.
Some spiders are so small, you don't see them.
So I've noticed on some of the big webs, like orb weavers, when you're walking through the woods, and they cover a really large area. How do they get from point A to point B to start that web?
I think, because I've wondered that too, I think they're on the ground some. They'd have to in order to get the drag line across. Yeah. And then once they establish it, I guess they can leave that line that I mentioned up during the day. They just need to get that initial construction done, I guess. That makes sense.
There's one in the chat.
It says, do birds eat spiders?
Birds eat spiders and are some poisonous to birds.
Like hummingbirds.
I was thinking about spiders. I know they use the webbing, in their nest.
In fact, hummingbirds often, they use spider web in their nest a lot, so it'll stretch when their babies grow. And I watched one at Los Naples go over first. She went over and ate all the spiders catch. And then she took the webbing and made her nest out of it. So she was throwing the spiders. And I also saw one. We were at the Hummingbird Festival in Rockport, and a little hummingbird had fallen into run into one of the big webs, the sticky ones, and she was struggling to get loose, and I couldn't help myself. I know I'm not supposed to mess with nature, but I couldn't just stay and let that spider eat that little hummingbird. So I went like that, and the spider went.
With all 8 legs. Yeah.
All 8 legs.
To the side, there's a mockingbird nest right in one of these trees.
Yeah.
Around,
Yeah.
and 2 pairs, and I got, fussed at. But the other parent had a little lizard.
Yeah.
I was like, "Really? You gonna feed that lizard?" What was your question?
So at the beginning, you were showing all the different things that the spider builds out of their silk. Do you know, is the composition of the silk different for each thing, or is it all the same?
I think it's different. Yeah.
So interesting. That's really
They're different uses.
In fact, one of the spiders I was studying at the zoo, they have a cake decorating set on their behind. They have nozzles with like 8 different kinds.
okay.
And some of them spin real fine. Some of them spin sticky. Because I asked this question to a spider person at the zoo, and I said, how do spiders not get caught in their own web? Well, some of the rounds are sticky and some are not. And they put their feet on the ones that aren't sticky and let the sticky ones catch the insect.
So they know.
And they have different spinnerets for different kinds of. I thought that was fascinating.
They also have some oils on their tips of their feet so they don't get stuck as well. Trees that have the drops of sticky. So.
Well, this would be a good research, but I've seen birds with spiders in their mouth. So they're eating them and they're feeding them to their babies too. So. Any other questions? Well, thank you. That was fascinating.